Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. So today we have a little bit of a project that we need to work on, and that involves our GreenStalk grow towers that we planted early this spring. So in the two towers that we're going to be working on today, we had planted our Desperado green beans, and then over here in this one we had planted a black wax bean, and they've performed very well. We've gotten several harvests off of them, but you can definitely tell that the plants are starting to end their life cycle. Let me show you what I mean here. So you can kind of see, and this isn't just watering, they're just getting to the end of what they are doing. So the plan is to pull out the ones that are going. We've got a few that are still producing and doing really well, so we'll probably leave those guys in because we may get one more harvest after today. But we'll pull all of these guys, go on ahead and do a little bit of worm compost, maybe a little biotone in the pocket, and then top off with any dirt that's needed, because you know, when you take the roots out, oftentimes the dirt will come with it to an extent. So we'll just top off the pocket, and then we are going to do what is called a succession sowing, and we will be planting a few different varieties here. So we will definitely be doing some more of the black wax beans. We got those from Seeds and Such. We also have the Desperado bush bean. We also got those from Seeds and Such. But we have a new one that we got in a Kalima bean that we're going to be putting in there. We are also going to put in a few squash as well. We have a vermicelli squash. It's an F1 hybrid, so that is going to be a type of spaghetti squash. It is supposed to be a little bit more resistant to the squash bugs, which we tend to have this time of year in our area. And then we have a traditional bush acorn, and then of course we've got some cucumbers that we got from Seeds and Such that we'll be planting in, and that's the Arkansas little fingers variety. We're really enjoying those. I think that's been our favorite cucumber out of everything that we've tried in the last 4 years? Last 4 years. So we're really enjoying that. It doesn't seem to massively take over, but it seems very happy, very vigorous, and it's producing a lot of cucumbers.
Thin skin, small seeds, sweet, tasty.
Yeah, nice and meaty, not too seedy. Just enjoying those guys overall, so we wanted to put in a few more. So if you are in a zone that has a little bit of a longer growing season, succession sowing is a good option for you, especially if you're organic gardening and you have pest pressure. Sometimes you just have to sacrifice the bean plants and the squash plants and let the bugs take what the bugs are going to take, and then be willing to go in and do another sowing of those. That's just sort of the, I guess, reality of where we are in the South for us. But let me go on ahead and put you on hyperlapse so we can get the beans that are ready to be harvested, and get all of the plants out that need to be removed, and then we'll move on to putting seeds in. Okay? We'll see you here in a bit.
We're going to be topping off all these pockets because pulling out the dead plants were low, and they should be filled to about here. So we're going to put some topsoil in, a little biotone fertilizer, Mix that up in there. Some nice healthy worm castings from our lovely worms. I'm just going to give it a good stir so it gets into that top layer in there. And this pocket's going to be ready to fuel another round of beans. We're going to do that with all our empty holes. We're going to put you back on hyperlapse because you don't want to see this in slow-mo. We'll get back with you in a bit. Okay guys, so I'm putting in the Kalima bean here, and we got it from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. And I know I've kind of shown you guys how to do this before, but I'm going to go on ahead and do it again, just in case we have any new gardeners here. So we have amended all of the pockets, and I always follow the rule of you plant it as deep as it is long. So I'm just going to stick it in, I'm just going to push it in and then cover it up like so. And for the most part, I'm going to try and fill every pocket, because when it comes to the green stalk, I have learned over the space of the last few years that it's better to have the whole thing full than to leave pockets empty. Obviously, I still have some desperados in here, and that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to let them go through their growth cycle, and then once they are done, then I will pull them out and replace them with something else, like more beans or maybe some cucumbers. Who knows? There's no telling and no end to what I can do here. I could probably even put in a few more of the dwarf zinnias. That's what this is. So if you're in a small space garden, there are dwarf flowers. Everything from marigolds to zinnias to nasturtium. You can find just about anything in a dwarf these days, and a lot of them are heirloom varietals that you can save seeds off of once these flowers have turned on you. So don't underestimate what you can plant in a small space garden, because you can definitely get away with putting in some flowers. Okay guys, so I went on ahead and I watered the pockets. I didn't go and do the top reservoir. I'll actually do that later this evening. I just wanted to give the seeds and the plants that are in there that we have amended and fertilized a little bit of a soak to help that fertilizer, the worm compost, start to sift down into the rest of that soil, which it will.
If you've noticed with container garden, if you've done any type of container garden, any type of pots, you'll notice that over time your soil level will begin to sink. That is a normal occurrence. So it is something that you need to plan for. Sorry, Bella is chasing a bumblebee around our salvia a little bit. She's not sure what to think. Where was I? Okay, so your soil level will sink in your containers, so that is not abnormal, just in case you're new to any type of raised gardening or container gardening. So just be prepared that when you are resetting it and pulling out plants, that you're going to be adding at least a handful of soil back in. And there is also the possibility that compost and fertilizer, just add that in, because it's going to need nutrients. Anything in a pot is going to be more prone to losing nutrients, which is really why you need to have a weekly fertilizing schedule for your containers, and that includes the GreenStalks. So almost this time of the year, we are using a little bit of a different fertilizer. I'll probably go back, honestly, to the Fox Farm fertilizer, because I misread this liquid fertilizer that we have been adding in, and I wasn't adding enough in. They call for 1 squirt per gallon of soil, not per gallon of water. And I'm so used to having my liquid fertilizers be 1 pump or a tablespoon basically per gallon of water, that my brain just auto-populated that, and I didn't pay attention that it said per gallon of soil. So I did not fertilize these guys enough, which is probably why we had a little bit lower of a harvest. But since I realized my mistake, I've been increasing the amount of that liquid fertilizer that I've been putting in, and it's almost gone. So like I said, I'll be moving back to the Fox Farm probably as the liquid fertilizer. It is a little bit more expensive, but honestly, for the quantity that's in there and the amount that we water, it ends up being less costly in the long term, because you're not using as much and you're not having to do it per gallon of soil, which each of these tiers is a cubic foot, and I think that's about 4 gallons roughly of soil per tier. So that's a lot of that other liquid fertilizer that I'm having to add in. And then the subset problem with that fertilizer is that I've been having some clogging issues in the top, whereas I didn't have that problem with the Fox Farm. And I think it's called the Grow Big. I think that's what it's called. It has a big old red tomato on the front. That much I can tell you. So just look for the one with the big tomato on the front, and that's the one that we typically use in these guys. But as I said, since we figured that out, and now that we've gone back in and we've amended, the towers are going to be perfectly fine. They're going to end up being lush again very, very soon. And in fact, some of, as you saw, the wax beans are still very, very much alive and are putting out new beans. And as soon as they're done, we're going to do the exact same thing. We'll pull them out, we'll put new beans in, and then we'll have another round of beans. So this way we're constantly having a harvest all the way through the growing season. That means that I'm going to have more to put away in storage for us over the winter months. And that's actually very, very critical to our food consumption over the winter. And it does help to supplement, of course, our purchasing through the winter months. But there's a lot that's possible in a small space garden. I mean, it doesn't really matter where you are. And this year we will be planning on doing a fall and winter garden. So we'll be taking you guys along on that. So we will have supplemental food that way as well, which will also extend our food supply a little bit longer into the year, just because we're not going to be needing to purchase them at the grocery store. So I will show you what crops we're going to do for that. We'll probably start talking about that around next month, because usually the end of August is when we need to kind of start thinking towards fall. So I'll begin prepping you guys for that as we go along. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful if you are having any of these issues with your green stalk and were wondering what was going on. It can be a little oops thing like what I did with fertilizer, something simple like that, which is very, very fixable and very easy to correct if you just take the time to do it. And I hope you also learned a little bit more about succession sowing, because sometimes when you're organic gardening, you have to do that in order to just beat the pest and the heat. That's just the way it is sometimes. But guys, as always, keep it simple, natural, and essential. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe.